Okay, so you got lit up on the ice. Now, what are you going to do about it? This video is going to be broken into two parts. So the first part is when to not really worry about it. I'll tell you what I mean by that. And then the second part is what to do when that happens and how to get better and how to fix it. So the first part goes out to goalies that are playing in beer leagues, adult leagues, and goalies that are playing in pickup leagues in the summer or shinny or 4-on-4, anything like that. What I would advise those goalies to do is not to judge your performance based on how many goals you let in. The reality is that beer league hockey, most shinny summer leagues, 4-on-4, 3-on-3, those kinds of things are not good indications of if you are a good goalie or not. That's not to say that if you make a lot of saves in those kinds of games that you shouldn't be happy. That is a good thing. That means that you're playing well. But most of the time it's not structured hockey, and that makes goaltending a lot harder. 4-on-4, there's just more open ice. Guys have a lot more time to shoot. There's a big difference between a competitive game at a high level where somebody gets a puck on their stick and they have a second to get a shot off before they get pressure from your team, versus a summer league or pickup or shinny where there's just so much time on the ice. Somebody can have the puck in the slot for like 5 seconds. They can do what they want. It's hard to be patient, and it's just a lot easier for them to score. So you can't worry if you let in 5, 6, 7 goals in those types of games. It's just a different type of hockey, and you have to treat it as such. I'm not gonna lie, this video came about because I was playing in a pickup game 4-on-4 last week, and I was just upset because I let in a lot of goals and I wasn't happy about it. And this has happened my whole life. Even if I'm playing well in regular games in a proper league, I will let in a lot of goals in shinny. I think it's very normal. Obviously, I don't want to let in any goals and I'm upset, especially if it's a goal that I think I should have had. But it is a different type of hockey, and you have to treat it differently. You can't get upset about goals that you've let in. Instead, what I recommend you do is judge your performance based on certain things. Were you able to be positionally sound? Was your skating good? Were you looking around the ice and seeing what was going to happen before it happened using your anticipation skills? How was your technique? Did you butterfly well? Was your stance good? Those are the things you have to focus on. You can't really worry about letting in a goal on the third rebound or letting someone score on you when they had like 5, 10 seconds to just do whatever they wanted. It's a different type of game, and that kind of stuff doesn't happen when you're playing in a proper structured game. It can be really frustrating though, especially if all you do is play in these types of games, because it's hard to really judge how you're improving. And I'm gonna tell you that it's a lot easier, I personally find it a lot easier to play against better players in a more structured game than playing against players at a lower skill level in an unstructured game. It's just a different type of hockey altogether. So to end off part one, my simple advice is don't get stressed. Don't judge yourself too harshly based on how you played in that beer league game, in that pickup game, 4-on-4, whatever it is. Just try to find things that you want to work on, things that you want to judge your performance on that are in your control, not about stopping a 2-on-0 or try not to bite on a fake when a guy has a ton of time in the slot. Try to have fun, try to work on things that are in your control that you can actually manage, and you'll feel a lot better about those types of games. Now, part two of this is if you got lit up in a proper game, right? So in your league, maybe you played a high level, maybe you're playing in any kind of league where there's a ref and there's a scoreboard and there are fans, and it's what we would call real hockey. That doesn't mean that other hockey doesn't count. Of course, it's still hockey, but when it's a more structured game with the traditional rules and type of play that we're used to, it's easier to judge our performance. And if you find you've let in like 4, 5, 6 goals, maybe you had a terrible game, you're gonna have to find a way to get over that. So first of all, after a bad game like that, or after a game that you would consider bad because you let in a lot of goals, you need to keep the right perspective. One thing you can do is check the scores from the previous night's NHL games. Almost every day you will see a game from the night before where a goalie has let in 4, 5 or more goals. It's very common, it happens all the time, and no goalie out there, no matter who they are, no matter how good they are, is exempt from those types of games. It should make you feel better when you see Igor Shesterkin or Andrei Vasilevsky or whoever your favorite goalie is. When you see that they also have those types of games, you can keep a better perspective for yourself and realize that these types of games will happen. It's not that crazy, especially in leagues that are a little bit more offensive, to let in more goals in a game. Hockey can just be like that sometimes, and it can be hard on a goalie when the play is a little bit less structured, when the defensive game is not as strong on both sides, and you feel like you played really badly just because you got beat a few times. So first of all, don't get too stressed about it. It's one game. It does happen to everybody, and you need to move on from it and not feel like it's affecting your long-term performance or your long-term opinions of yourself. That doesn't mean that we don't get frustrated and want to do better. You should always be demanding better from yourself. Even if you let in one goal, you should be thinking, how could I have gotten a shutout last night? That needs to be the perspective that you have, because you want to continually get better. You want to continually chase that perfection. It's probably never going to come. No goalie is perfect, but you want to be on that pursuit of perfection, trying to get better all the time. So it's important after every game to analyze what you could have done better. So say you let in 4 goals, you should, after the game at some point, think about what happened on those goals. Why did you get beat? It's probably very rarely only your fault. Hockey is a team game, and a lot of people make mistakes on the way to letting in a goal. Typically, the goalie just makes the last mistake, but you should always analyze what you could have done better. Maybe it was your positioning, maybe it was how you read the play, maybe it was how you reacted to the shot. There are a bunch of things that could have happened that could probably have been improved. And if you analyze what you did in that game and on that play and what you could have done better, you will be on the way to becoming a better goalie. So the first tip is to relax, get over it, do something else, keep yourself occupied. Don't think about how bad the game was. But the second tip kind of contradicts that one, because you also need to analyze the game and see where you went wrong and see where you could have done better. And it's not easy to keep both of those things balanced. You have to, on the one hand, be critical of yourself, but on the other hand, not be so critical that you lose confidence. The reality is you've probably been playing goalie for a long time. I guarantee that you're good at it. You maybe aren't as good as you want to be yet. Maybe you're not playing at the highest level, but if you're playing competitive hockey as a goalie, I bet you're pretty good already. And you need to remind yourself of that and not get too down after one game where you let in 4, 5, 6 goals. I have a personal story about this myself. I remember one game years ago, I just played terribly. I think we lost 8-7 and my team kept tying up the game, and I kept letting the other team get ahead by just letting in every shot that I faced. And it was just one of those games where nothing went right. And after the game, maybe about 10 minutes after, I was almost able to laugh at it because it just felt like nothing went right for me, and it just happened. Like that's just what happened that night. And somehow my confidence wasn't affected. I just knew that that night wasn't my night. It happens, and I wasn't worried about the next game doing the same type of thing. And that was because I had built up a level of confidence from previous games, from previous seasons, that I knew that one game was just a fluke. For whatever reason, I just wasn't on my game that night, and I knew I would recover for the next game. That doesn't mean I didn't try to improve. I tried to think about what I did wrong, and I tried to work on that in my next practice and be prepared for that in the upcoming games. But I was able to just let that game roll off my back because I knew that it wasn't a good indication of how good I actually was at playing goalie. But this idea of being relaxed after a bad game and trying to forget about it, it only works if you're actually putting in the work afterwards. I don't recommend not taking games seriously and not worrying about a bad performance if you're going to be lazy in the next practice and in the rest of your preparation following that game. This kind of attitude only works if you're serious about playing goalie and if you're serious about getting better. But if you take this two-pronged approach where you're able to quickly forget bad performances or games where you let in a lot of goals, and also work really hard to improve, to not let in those types of goals again next time, and to constantly become a better goalie, that is the best kind of approach you can take, in my opinion. The best goalies in the NHL are always able to recover after a bad game. Just because they lost 6-5, it doesn't mean that they can't win the next game 1-0. And that comes from confidence and consistency, which is only built through preparation. If you know that you're putting in the work on a daily basis, it's a lot easier to be confident and know that you will recover from one bad performance. So to quickly summarize this video, try not to get too worked up about how you played if you're playing in an adult league, playing shinny, 4-on-4, 3-on-3. Those types of games are very unstructured, and it's hard to judge your performance based on just the score sheet. Try to analyze your performance instead on things you're trying to work on, goaltending fundamentals, and how you played each situation, not just if you made enough saves or not. And the second part is, if you're playing in a competitive league and you let in a lot of goals, try not to stress about it. It's just one game. You've played a lot of good games in your past, and you will get over this one and play another good game next time. But make sure to continually analyze what you're doing, see where you can be better, and then work on those things with a proper plan and consistent execution. The mental game is really hard to get right for a lot of goalies because there's a lot of stress if you don't play well, and if you're not confident, you're just not gonna play as well as you potentially could. The advice in this video should help you, and I also have a book called Goaltending the Mental Game. It's available on our website, goaliestrength.com, which is linked in the description of this video below. Check it out. I tried to price it pretty low because I want more goalies to have access to it. I think it's going to be really helpful for anybody. There is a lot of good advice in there, in my opinion, and I think it could help your mental game. Thanks for watching the video. Please click like. I would really appreciate that, and I will see you in the next one.